Ahoy Maties! Welcome to the Seas. This is Damron. I'm playing Sea of Thieves. In this video, we're going to be covering Season 9 in its entirety. We're going to cover all the little details, the commendations, the small things you may have missed. We're doing the deepest dive to talk about all the good things that came with this update, as well as some things that probably shouldn't have happened. There's a lot of things in this update the community doesn't like, so we'll cover all of that. Let's go ahead and get started. As always, we do have a new Plunder Pass available. As always, I do recommend getting these because if you buy the Plunder Pass, you're going to get 750 ancient coins back as a part of that purchase anyway, so it's really not that expensive to purchase, and you're going to get a lot of new cosmetics. As always, check for the free emotes as well. 100 new Renown levels, all with their own new rewards as you're progressing through this season. The main thing about Season 9 that's updated are two new items that have kind of changed the Sea of Thieves. The first is the Chest of Fortune, which is a valuable chest that we're going to talk about in detail a little bit later, and then you can see the skulls surrounding that are the Skulls of Destiny. That is pretty cool. It's going to allow us to do the Fort of the Damned a lot easier, as well as just giving us an easier access to all the Flames of Fate. So we're going to cover all these things as we're doing this update. I hope you all have been enjoying it, so let's get started. The Chest of Fortune is a new update. If you open that, you're only going to see two new commendations that are grade 1, Fortune's Favor, which is to sell 30 of the Chest of Fortune to the Gold Hoarders, and Reaper's Riches, which is to turn in 30 Reaper's Bounty or Reaper's Chest. Now you can see it says grade 1, and in fact it will stop there, but they will go further in later updates, which I'll talk about in just a minute. So this update's really going to hover a lot around the Fort of the Damned and the Fort of Fortune. So remember, the Fort of Fortune is the skull on the right side of the screen, has the cracks up in the head, whereas the Fort of the Damned on the left just has the two red eyes. So we're going to talk a lot about the Fort of Fortune first, because we're going to be doing the Chest of Fortune, which in the current update, the way that you're going to get that chest is by completing the Fort of Fortune. Now this is a world event that is very popular, especially in this update, so if you are going to go there, expect a battle, okay? Expect either people are going to be doing the fort there, or if you get started, people are going to be trying to run up on you and take those new chests from you. So if you are playing this update and we're going for those chests, have your PvP mindset ready. Be ready to fight, because you will fight, because you got people like us that are server hopping specifically just trying to get those chests, okay? Nonetheless, when you and your crew have progressed into the Fort of Fortune long enough, then you will be able to open it, and that's where the Chest of Fortune will reside. So you are going to have to either complete the fort or be here when someone else completes it and try to steal it. The Fort of Fortune has actually changed dramatically though. It's significantly easier. All of the skeletons die significantly faster. It is supposed to scale with your crew size now, but we're going to talk about all the world event changes later. But for now, just know with the Fort of Fortune, you no longer will face the Skeleton Lords or the double Skeleton Lord phase anymore, which in my opinion was the best part about the fort. You will face the Ashen Lord at the end, and that will rotate, so you can kind of use this not only to progress your Fort of Fortune commendations, but also killing those Ashen Lords as you're doing it as well for your Ashen Lord commendations. And when you finally do open the Fort of Fortune, inside beside the Chest of Legends is now the new Chest of Fortune, and the Chest of Fortune is very valuable. It sells for 20k base value. Now it does say in the commendation to sell it to the Gold Hoarders, but just keep in mind you can also sell it to the Sovereigns, as she will deliver it to the Gold Hoarders for you. So you can see it went up to 5. I just sold it. If you want to take it to the Gold Hoarders, feel free to do that as well. Either way you want to do it, it's going to progress that commendation. Now there are people saying you can sell it to the Reapers as well. I think that's not intended, so be careful. They probably will remove that. I do recommend selling them to the Gold Hoarder or the Sovereign, and when you do sell 30, you will unlock that commendation. They do mention in the patch notes that in future seasons it will move around, so it's not going to be in the Fort of Fortune in future seasons. It may be in the Fort of the Damned, it may be in other locations, but also it says the commendation grades will expand, so you can expect those to go higher and get more pieces of the Fates of Fortune ship set, which right now when you unlock that commendation, the 3 three that you're going to get are the figurehead, the sails, and the hull, which are sick. They're very nice. Probably the best, one of the best figureheads in the game, in my opinion. A super sick Hydra. So you can check that out right here. Looks really awesome. So you're going to be able to get that once you sell 30 of the chests of fortune to, quote, the gold hoarders. The other cosmetics that are going to be tied to the new commendation are the Reaper chest and the Reaper's bounty, which you can see me and my buddy standing in front of right here. There's multiple ways that you can get these. You can steal them, obviously. The most lucrative way is the Fort of the Damned. You can server hop and you can look for people that are doing the Fort of the Damned. Either way, they are on your map. You can see them by these kind of circles with the skull in the middle. It's either going to be gold for the Reaper's bounty or red for the Reaper's chest. So I see, okay, this grade 5 Reaper's got at least one Reaper's bounty, but also the tassels will no longer, go away. It used to be when you pick up the chest, it would just be that icon on the map. But now those kind of flares that are going up from the chest, so I can see, oh my gosh, that sloop up there's got multiple Reaper's bounties on their chest because I can see multiple tassels going up. Okay, so you can steal them from people that way. I think the best way is to stack the Fort of the Dam, because the Fort of the Dam is super easy now. Again, we'll talk about that later. But when you do Fort of the Dam, there's always going to be 2 in the fort itself, as long as the map has not reached its limit. And the way that you can kind of get around that is, if you're going to stack the Fort of the Dam, just bury these chests in between each stack. So you can see now we're digging up all the ones that we buried, because there can only be 5 Reaper's chests or Reaper's bounties on a map at any given time, including the ones found in shipwrecks. So if you're going to stack the fort and say do it 5, 6, 7 times, and you want to get guaranteed 2 every time, just simply bury them. The other place that you can get Reaper's bounties or Reaper's chests, as you probably know, is shipwrecks. So keep that in mind. Now, the only way they're going to spawn in shipwrecks is if there's 3 or more crews on a server. A lot of people don't really know that. So if you're on a server and they're just not spawning, you may just want to server hop. But nonetheless, more than one can spawn on these. Generally, it's only going to be 1, but you can have 1, 2, or even 3 Reaper's chests or bounties spawn in a shipwreck. So that's the other way that you can get these. It's a lot slower, but if you're kind of not a PvP player and you don't want to go that route, you may want to just kind of grind it over time. Nonetheless, once you sell 30 of these to the Reaper's Bones at the Reaper's Hideout, you unlock the Reaper's Riches commendation. Again, this is grade 1. We can expect that to expand going further, just like the ship set, but those are tied to the Weapons of Fate. And right now, the 2 that will unlock are the pistol and the cutlass. So those are the 2 that are available. The cutlass looks a little okay, the pistol looks pretty cool, but those are not bad. So let's talk about some other changes that have come with this update. One, we've got 3 new Legendary Voyages available to us, and also when you go see the Pirate Lord, his available voyages are expanded, so all the possible Legendary Voyages that exist will always be available. So you saw I just bought the one there. There's also the new search for the Skull of Destiny, so we're going to talk about the Skull of Destiny here shortly. And then also we have the Black Powder Stash Voyage, which is going to allow us to get black powder kegs, the Athena kegs, stronghold kegs, fire bombs. And then the first quest that you saw me get, that leads you to chests of sorrow. You can get the grog chest, and you can also get the rage chest, as well as a new chest, which is the everlasting sorrow, which is a sorrow chest that never stops crying. I haven't been able to get that yet, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So all of those quests work the same. I'll show you how it works for the Skull of Destiny, because we're going to talk about the Skull of Destiny, but they all give you a magical compass similar to the one you get, the Wayfinder compass you get on your Gold Hoarder quests, or Jack Sparrow's compass. They basically are just going to point in the direction that you need to go, and eventually when you get to the island, it'll spin around in circles when you're above the dig spot. So all of those 3 quests work the same. But let's briefly talk about the Skull of Destiny, because this is great. Now, you can pick up multiple quests and then set out and get multiple of these skulls, but each skull allows you to cycle through the color of the Flames of Fate, and it will also act as a ritual skull. So with one Skull of Destiny, we can have all the Flames of Fate and a ritual skull in order to do Fort of the Dams. And we could come here and do Fort of the Dams easy. And let's talk about Fort of the Dams while we're here, and talk about the world changes that have happened with the world events, which I think honestly are terrible. I think that the changes they made to the world events are not good, especially Fort of the Dam. In Fort of the Dam now, no longer will multiple colors of those skeletons spawn at the same time. There will only be one color per wave, which I think is a ridiculous change. That was the only good thing about the Fort of the Damned. It was a challenge because you had to work with your crew to have 3 different colors potentially in a wave. Now you only have to have 1 color, and it's quote scaled to your crew, so if they're scaled to the amount of pirates on the island, so if there's not a lot of people, it's super easy. You can get a bunch of barrels and essentially one-shot Grey Marrow. They've made it way too easy. I think the changes to the world events, honestly, in my opinion, were not necessary. They're trying to scale all the world events to your cruise size or ship size. So here we are doing now Fort of Fortune. This is too easy. The second to last wave is now skeleton captains instead of the 2 skeleton lords at the same time, which was the only challenging thing about it. They've removed all of the challenge from this game by scaling all of the world events to cruise size. Now again, at the end of the Fort of the Fortune, you will fight a Ashen Lord, but again, she's been nerfed. He or her, whichever one you're going to face off against, Ruth in this particular scenario. But that attack that used to blow you back, that hardly blows you back. The flame attack they do, it doesn't hurt as much, and it doesn't have as big of a radius. The you know, kind of volcanic rocks that come out of the sky are nerfed. Just the world events are too easy. But with that, they did allow us to have the return of the Burning Blade or Flameheart. The Ghost Ship world event is back. There is a difference in that Flameheart's, you know, face is no longer above you yelling at you, but it's essentially the same world event, but again, easier. The normal skeleton forts, the Skelly Fleet, everything is quote scaled and everything is quote too easy. The challenge is going away, and without the challenge of getting the loot, and all that's left for us players is to be challenged by PvP. Okay, so those are the things that I think the community didn't ask for. We didn't ask for these world events to be this easy. Now you should see the world event of the Megalodon spawning more frequently as they've kind of eliminated the distance of them being aggroed to islands and disappearing. So those should kind of come back a little bit more frequently. So let's talk about some changes to the Shipwright. These are some great changes. Now if you go into the Shipwright, you'll see she'll have some organization to her. You'll be able to cycle through just specifically gold hoarder quests, as well as merchant, order of souls, the mercenary and Athena quests, as well as the page just for supplies. But also the actual quests themselves have been separated a little bit more, so you can see I can specifically buy gold hoarder vault quests, and also quests specific to the Devil's Roar, and that's a huge thing for our merchant alliance because we can get cargo runs that are just stacks of cargo runs in the Devil's Roar. That used to be a very hard thing to do, because now I could buy like 10, 15 of those and work on my Merchant Alliance commendations. Same with the Order of Souls. We can do some specific to the Devil's Roar, but we can also grab our ghost ship battles. So you can really pick up quests in the captaincy area and kind of tailor your session if you're trying to work on certain commendations much easier. The same thing with the Athena's Fortune, right? We can go in here and we can pick up multiple quests. And these are really great ways to have a bunch of quests and work on a lot of things at the same time. Also, the new quests are available down here that you saw from the Pirate Lord earlier, so you could buy multiple of the Destiny Skulls as well. Again, those particular ones cost doubloons. Same change happened to the actual company representatives themselves, so you can see here all the different types of voyages are always going to be available, even if I purchase one. So if I purchase one where it used to disappear, you can see, boom, actually right there, it's still there. So I could actually sit right here. If I'm someone that hasn't saved up enough money to buy a captaincy boat, I can still go to the representative and buy 5, 6, 7 gold hoarder vaults, and you can now hold up to 12 voyages in your inventory. So see here, I've got 5 already. So now you can kind of tailor your experience a little bit better. And while we're here on our ship, let's look at the change to the logbook. This is cool. One of my favorite actual changes that kind of snuck in with this update is it kind of updates your logbook at the end with everything you do during the day. So you can see day 3 here, look, I became a grade 5 emissary, and it'll actually draw a picture at the top of the day. You see there's an emissary flag. Day 4, I don't have a picture yet because I haven't finished that day. So let's look at some changes now that also happen to the Sovereign, as well as our, Hunter's Call. The first of which is being able to sell Hunter's Call items to the Sovereign, and you will actually get Hunter's Call reputation. So we can sell our fish now to the Sovereign itself. Now you're going to get less value than what they're worth. The other thing that we can sell now is our Dark Trident. So at the end of our session, you can sell your Dark Trident. You don't get a lot, you get like 250 gold, but hey, it's better than nothing. But also with the Hunter's Call, welcome back to Steven Spoils. We now have a representative as Stefan Spoils or Steven Spoils, whichever way it is. And on the dock will be this new representative that we can sell our Hunter's Call items to. Hello, Adelric or Adelric. I don't even know how you're going to say that, but we can now sell things. And also, if you look to the left, they have a sign that says, hey, if you bring things here, we're going to give you more gold for it. So if you sell your Hunter's Call things to the Sovereign, you're going to get less than if you actually bring them to the Sea Post. So if you're really going for that, I recommend going to the Sea Post. There's also a new and improved Harpoon. The Harpoon is amazing. You no longer have to get off and grab things off the end of the Harpoon. It will automatically take it when you grab it and place it behind you. So you can just bang, 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 and look, now all that loot is just beautifully stacked on the boat for me. I don't have to keep, getting off the Harpoon and getting the loot at the edge of it. This also applies to the Harpoon on rowboats. Rowboat Harpoons do the same thing. Boom, it's just putting all this stuff on the Harpoon behind me or on the rowboat behind me. And also the same thing works for the Harpoons at the Sovereign's Outpost. You can just simply keep harpooning things off your loot, and it will automatically place it on this area where you can just pick it up and sell it. So the Harpoon is awesome. We also have some changes to the collector's chest. Now you can just sell everything in the collector's chest immediately without having to take it out one by one. So you saw I just had the collector's chest in my hand. I elected to sell everything to the Sovereign, and boom, all 3 items are gone. So that's huge. There's been a big change to the merfolk and the mermaid statues and mermaid gems themselves with this update that kind of snuck in there. One, they don't regenerate anymore. So the merfolk statues no longer regenerate. So what does that mean? That means a solo player can take down ruby statues. It doesn't matter the size of your crew. You're going to be able to take down any statue because it no longer regenerates. So if you're solo, maybe you'll have to swim away, get some food, but nonetheless, you are going to be able to take it down. And the number of mermaid gems that can spawn from these statues can be 1, 2, or 3. With that change though, the emerald and the ruby gems are only available from, say, those statues or forts or things like that. You can only find sapphires in shipwrecks. In shipwrecks there will only be sapphires, and you will no longer find mermaid gems washed up on any shore. A huge quality of life improvement that came for our Hourglass players is being able to sell our Emissary flags at Outposts to a Reaper's Bones representative, the skeleton who's in the cage. You can actually talk to him now. It's like, hey, wait, you talk? But nonetheless, this is great because it's going to allow you to get Emissary value and allegiance for your Servants of Flame without having to go all the way to the Reaper's hideout. It will also progress your commendations in the Reaper's Bones section, so that's nice. Just be careful because you can sell Reaper's Bones flags to the Sovereign. Now, she doesn't take other types of flags, but if you're rocking Servants of the Flame, be sure you take those Reaper's flags that you win in battle to the cage skeleton in order to get that reputation and appropriate allegiance. Another change that happened is with the Chest of Sorrow. The Chest of Sorrow will now put way less water on your ship. I mean, significantly less. And they did that because of the Chest of Everlasting Sorrow that is available from the new pirate Legend Voyage. Again, I haven't gotten that chest yet, but that one never stops crying. So obviously that would be a challenge if it was producing as much water as it used to. Now you can honestly do a couple buckets and you have plenty of time before you even have to go back down there and take more water off. So let's look at a lot of other kind of small quality of life changes that happen. A lot in our menu section has changed a lot for the better. In the gameplay section, you can now disable ship sitting interactions and ship trinket interactions. This is great because a lot of you have been walking up to your mat and you want to look at it. Instead, you take a seat, right? So now you can completely get rid of those if you want to, which I recommend. Now you can still adjust your trinkets if they're kind of moved and shifted from battle, but you can see the option to replace those is no longer there. Also, in the settings, if we go into our HUD, you can go all the way at the bottom. Now we can also disable our pirate milestone notifications and our ship milestone notifications. As you know, there's a lot of milestones, and if you have those on, you were just getting notifications all the time of something that you were completing. So it's great that we can turn those off. Also, we have a new scuttle option and an old one. Now you can scuttle your ship and change seas, which essentially says, hey, I don't want to be on this server anymore. The other one, to just scuttle your ship, it's, you know, that's coded wrong. It's not going to say crew management .scuttle ship option. That's just going to be the old scuttle ship, okay? And you can do that and stay on the same server. But if you want to change servers, you can. One of the best update things in Season 9, probably the best thing, is the musical hit notification volume. Now you can turn down your music, you can turn down all other sounds, and keep your musical hit notification volume up. So you know when you're hitting other ships in battle, and you know if there's a bunch of noise that you want to just turn down, you can turn that up. There is a change to the storage crates as well. If you look in the top of the storage crate, it'll show you all the different items that you have available of these little circles that says, you know, and that's like kind of the max capacity. There's also a new bait crate available. You can buy this from the merchant Outpost and get 50 of each bait immediately. It is kind of pricey, so keep that in mind. There's a new food radio wheel, so if you have your food out, you can press B and then you could select specifically which food you want. I think that's a total waste of time in my opinion. Put your food on a hotkey and you can cycle through it much faster anyway. You can also stash quests from your quest wheel. So now you can see I'm on my quest wheel. I'll just press right trigger and they're disappeared. Then I can kind of clean up my quest wheel that way. Now I didn't destroy them. It'll just be in another section called stash quests. You can go into those stash quests and then you could subsequently unstash them if you wanted to. There's also a few more cosmetics in the general clothing shop, namely the one that most people are kind of concerned with is the new Gold Hoarder set. It's quite expensive, but it does look pretty awesome. The pieces can range from anywhere from 300 to 800,000 per piece, so pretty expensive. So that's pretty much it for Season 9. I think I've covered pretty much everything, all a little deep dive, got all the details, so I hope you all found this helpful as always. Hopefully I'll see you on the seas, and we'll be out there playing some Hourglass, and we'll see you represent the Servants of the Flame.